Thank you. This is really cool. Let me tell you a little something. When I was at my grandma's house, I was on a tricycle, and my grandma, because my dad was a firefighter, she got me a little fire chief's hat. And to this day, that picture is right next to me shaking the hand of the chief getting my badge. So that picture goes from me being a kid to when I became a sworn firefighter. What happened one day was my dad was off duty, and he comes running in the house, and I'm about 4 or 5 years old. And he goes, Pat, come on, I want to show you something. And he like grabs me and drags me outside. And we went down about 3 houses, and there was a house on fire. And the fire engine was just coming around the corner pulling up, and he goes, I want to show you what I do. I'm a fireman. Well, I don't know what a fireman is. My dad's a fireman. So you see the fire engine pull up, the guys get out, the guys are screaming at each other, the hose is going on the ground, I see all this smoke coming out. A guy goes over to the front door with a tool or something, and he smashes in the door, and all this smoke comes ripping out. Another guy goes around with a nozzle, looks like this thing was a huge, like, big old piece of metal, and he took that nozzle and he smashed it through the window, and he started putting the fire out. My dad's saying, this is what I do. I'm a fireman. Well, all I know is a fireman rides on a fire engine and goes like this to kids, okay? So now I'm like scared to death because I didn't realize that's what my dad did. And as I started growing up, he started explaining to me what it was that he did. And from that time on, I thought, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to try to be a firefighter. So one day in high school, I was in weight training, and this kid right next to me was telling his friends, I just fought a fire. And I was thinking, what did you say? And he says, yeah, I just fought a fire. I'm with LA County Fire Department Explorers. What is that? So he told me about the program. He said that Station 101 has an Explorer program. So I got home from school that day, and I basically made my mom drive me down there because I wanted to hear about the Explorer program. And I signed up that day. So now I'm an Explorer, and that was in '78. Well, back then, it took you 2 years to get your ride-along certificate. And I thought, I'm not waiting 2 years. So I worked with the Explorer advisors, and I said, can we accelerate this? Well, we only meet once a month. And I said, no, can we do it every weekend so we can gain this knowledge? And they kind of looked at me like, you're crazy, you know? And I go, no, I want to be here. So we worked it out. We actually changed it to once a week. And so by doing that, it accelerated all of the group in our knowledge. And we went to LAO, and you had to be tested, and then you got your ride-along patch. And I think back then it said fire rescue on it. It's a little different than what it is today. And right there, boom, I'm out riding in the fire engines. And I got to go all over the place. So I knew that's what I was going to do. So time went on. I was in Civil Air Patrol. I was a drill sergeant. And I was in the color guard, honor guard. Well, one day, one of the advisors says, does anybody know anything about the honor guard? I says, yeah, I do it. Well, if we give you the chrome domes and all the stuff, would you like to teach the Explorers? Sure. So we got together and we learned it and did everything. And to this day, you'll see the black and white of the first honor guard that the fire department had. So it was really cool to be able to do that. And now it is today what it is, and that's just awesome to see what they've done with it. And then back then, because I had such a drive in training and loved the fire department, they were going to have their very first fire academy for the Explorers. Well, I was already kind of running the Explorer post, and back then they had rank, and so they asked me to be a captain, so I was a captain of the Explorer post. And then we were putting together all the trainers and all the people for this first Explorer Academy, and they asked me to be the fire chief of the Explorers. And I thought, wow, okay, so LAO right now has a black and white with me with bugles. So I got to be a chief. Yeah, so anyway, yeah, so that's kind of cool.
3 cross bugles.
So it's really neat. And then I pursued, kept going, and I was able to be a volunteer firefighter for La Habra Heights, and then got my ambulance, and then I got hired in the camps. And it was kind of neat that I worked at Camp 8 for about a year and a half, and it was killing me because we made $62 a day. And so I went up to Horst Zimmerman, and I says, sir, it's killing me to work out here. Is there anything else I could do? And he goes, you know, and it's, let me see what we can do, you know. So he calls downtown LA, and they had a car wash, right? And everybody knows about the car wash. Well, I'm like, no, I'm not going to go wash cars. So he sent me to the fire shops. So I got to work with the mechanics for about a year and a half, and I got to learn everything about the rigs. So that was great knowledge for me in the mechanical side of the department. Well, then I called him up and I says, hey, you know, I want to get back into being a firefighter in the camps. So he goes, hey, we got an opening in Camp 17 as a superintendent's driver, and you can run the camp and be with him. Okay, so they sent me to Laverne up in Marshall Canyon, and that's where I got to learn all the administrative and stuff like that for time cards and logbooks and the equipment and maintenance and all that kind of stuff. And then when there was a fire, I'd be his driver. So I was there for like 2 years, and then they needed a guy over Camp 19, so I moved to 19. And then went back to Camp 2, and then they needed somebody at 12, so I went to 12, and then went back to Camp 2. And then I got to thinking, okay, I need to do something different. So they had the bulldozer, so I got to be a swamper. So while I was a swamper, that's when I learned how to do the agility, and I did my testing and all that kind of stuff. And so I got picked up from being in heavy equipment. So that's where it started right there. So anyway, so we had in my recruit class, Chief Tripp was my training captain. So
yes, I was.
I remember one day, okay, we were the new misfits of this brand new hose lay, brand new kind of training, new method of training. So we went through all kinds of different topics. We got certificates and all kinds of stuff. Well, I remember we just finished the most important part of basic, which was the hose lays. Well, back then, our fire engines had reserves, had just 2.5 hose on it, double load. So we had to learn 2.5 hose lays, because now we learned the 4-inch, now we're going to the 2.5. And I remember the staff gave us 3 hose lays on Friday and no them on Monday. So we're, you know, Monday comes and everybody had their shoe boxes out and they're doing everything over the weekend, and you know, oh man, this is tough. And we come in on Monday, and sure enough, okay, here's your rotations. And I'll never forget it. This has stuck to me forever. But we're out there and we're pulling hose with the 2.5, and you go out, you put the hose down, come back around, grab the hose, come back around. And back then it was if somebody screwed up, or if you screwed up, you stopped and just went at attention, and you didn't move until one of the training staff came up to you and said, you know, what's your problem? He did something wrong, sir. Okay, well, so now I'm moving along, and I stop, and I just kind of like, oh man, and I'm standing like this, and sure enough, Chief Tripp is right there, and he goes, Recruit Meyer! Sir, yes, sir! What is your problem? Sir! I don't know, sir! And he goes, can't you get this hose lay? Sir, I'm confused, sir! And he takes his notebook, right? And he goes, crash! And the whole thing just blew up on the grinder. The whole grinder stopped, right? And I'm standing there going, I'm going down the hill. I'm done. I am completely done. And he's right here. Do you have a problem, Recruit Meyer? And I'm like, sir, yes, sir. I can't. I'm confused. I don't know where I'm going, sir. I'm a mess. And he goes, like, yes, you are. Get out there and clean up that hose, sir. You know, sir, yes, sir. And I'm just, oh man, I'm like this the rest of the day, and I'm thinking, I'm done. That's it. I'm fired. So came the end of the day, the joke was actually on the training staff because not one guy in the class did a good job on those 2.5 hose lays. We were a basket case because we tried to learn 3 hose lays in one weekend. So I remember that. So thank you very much. That was awesome.
Bird does.
Oh my God. That was great. Yeah, so then, okay, so we graduate and all that. Now, remember I told you the story about my son, well, about me, with my dad, okay? Well, now, my son is now...
We may have to have another meal.
Yeah, he's like 5 years old, okay?
Is this going to be until dinner?
So, you like it. So you remember how my dad told me what a fireman is? Well, that same thing happened when I was graduating, and my son, all he saw was these firemen running around, pulling hose. There's the props burning, and here's the graduation skit. Boom. That just sparked him for his career. And he's now an LA County firefighter. So, 3 generations. So, what's kind of cool is, so I go to my first spot at 48's. Long story short. Too late. Okay. So, here we are, we're all, we've been running all this stuff, our brains are like this big with knowledge because of all the stuff we just learned. And we get there and the captain tells me, all right, we're going to go PT, get your stuff. Okay, so, you're ready to go run and all this kind of stuff. And he grabs golf clubs and some golf balls. And we're kind of like, because there's another boot in there with me. So, get in the rig and we go up to the Irwindale Dam. He gets out and he goes, young man, this is yours? And John, you know what you're doing. Here's a couple balls. You ever golfed, young man? Sir, no sir. He goes, well, I'm going to teach you. This is our PT time. So by the time I got out of there from probation for my first spot, I was great. So what I did for him, for the respect of him, was you have to do your map for your first spot. So what I did was where all the parks were, or the schools were, or the major boulevards, I named them after golf courses, or golf players, or names of golf clubs and stuff like that. Because he's the only guy that's going to read that map. And he thought that was the best thing he'd ever seen in his life, was a map for golfers. So, there you go. So yeah, but then I owe Terry Dillman a lot, because he's the one that got me promoted. He called me in the office at 29s and he said, sit down. I'm like, uh-oh. He goes, it's time for you to leave. And I looked at him like, I don't understand. He goes, it's time for you to leave. You need to become an engineer. And I'm like, oh, hell no. No, man, I'm driving a tiller. I'm, busting into houses. We're, smash and bash because we're truckies. And he took me under his wing, and every day we drilled. Every day. So I owe him my promotion. I really do. So I wish he could be here. So anyway, there's a lot of stuff I've done. A lot of fun things, a lot of stupid things. That's okay, You can do stupid stuff in front of your family, and that's all right. And you can be forgiven for it. And it's nice to know that I got to be a safety officer. I got to go out there and go to the big fires and try to be a helping hand, and that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted to do. So I just want to say, thank you for sharing this with me. This is awesome. Thank you so much.